Get my six. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid, the most awesomest homesteading channel on the entire internet that has absolutely nothing whatsoever in the least, and especially the most, to do with homesteading. I'll show you my beautiful bride up here on the balcony. See her up there? Hon! She can't hear me over the waterfalls. There's a pool over there. It's got a set of waterfalls. Waterfalls everywhere. Beautiful condo place we live in here that almost fell down 4 times in the last 12 days. They're still building over here, so you'll have to forgive the background noise of banging and clanging. They don't start until 7 a.m. though. It's about 7:30 right now. I did 5 miles this morning, and you gotta be done. Really, should be done before 7, but I got a late start, so I didn't get up till 5 a.m. which is about 30 minutes late for me. So everything's 30 minutes behind, but I'll make it up. I'll just shorten my nap this afternoon. But because by now, I mean, it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. 31, 32 Celsius, which is what they go by here. So I haven't made a video in a couple of weeks, not since the last big one hit. I'm only making this one because I've been getting emails, texts, which I won't reply to because of international texting fees. Listen, the people that have money don't have it because they spend it. I'm not paying those rates. So I don't care who you are. Work too hard to be where I am right here in life. And, you know. Anyway, comment sections on YouTube. The Facebook folks know, listen, we work almost predominantly for Facebook now rather than YouTube. And the reason why is for the exact same reason that Jesse James robbed banks. It's where the money is. I mean, they're up to overpaying over 10 times now for the same content that we do here. So I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid. So I go where I'm fed, just like any mangy old stray dog. But I did want to reach out because I know there's some folks here who have been following us for a long time who are concerned because of all the earthquakes we've been having here in Mindanao in the southern Philippines. So I figured, well, I got my 5-mile run in. Let's just grab the phone and take you for a walk along here on my cool down. And ordinarily in the past, I've been reluctant to show you any sort of backdrop as to where I live because you never know who's watching and what sort of ulterior motives they might have. But I don't mind doing this today because this is our last day here, and here's why. The earthquakes. So 2 days ago was the biggest one. It was 7.7, and back there's our building. We live on the 3rd floor of an 8-story high-rise, and let me tell you, it's quite terrifying when that happens. There's been 4. The first was like 7.2. The second one was 5.5. Then 2 days ago, there was the 7.7. And then last night, less than 24 hours, actually 22 hours after the big 7.7, we had a 5.8. So the first big one, 7.7, was really terrifying. Now, I used to live in the Philippines a long time ago, 7, 8 years ago. I lived here for 6 years, and we had earthquakes about twice a month, but they were always in the 3 to 4 range. You know, you could feel the house or the apartment or the condo shake just a bit. Nothing even really fell off the shelves, but this time, and it would last for like maybe 10 or 15 seconds. It's like by the time you recognized what was going on, it was over. It's changing positions here. My arm's getting tired. This was different. 7.7. Or the first one was 7.2. The shaking lasted for between 3 and 4 minutes. I was convinced in my mind that the condo was going to collapse and that 5 floors above us were going to crush us. As you saw, they're still working on that unit across from us. The workers were there that day because it happened in the middle of the afternoon, and they were screaming and holding on to each other. Dearly was in complete panic mode. And a lot of people panic and do stupid things. She wanted to run out of the building. So me, Daniel, and her brother Earl, my brother-in-law, actually my brother, we dropped the in-laws. That's something we decided, me and her whole family, because I'm closer with them than I've ever been with my family of origin. And it's an amazing thing. It's unconditional love from the beginning. So I said, let's just drop this in-law stuff. So I don't have brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, cousins-in-law. I have brothers, sisters, and cousins over here. It's beautiful. It's part of their culture. Family is the most important thing to these people, and it's a beautiful thing. I've heard stories that it used to be like that in the U.S. up until 1950-something. If that's the case, I have no clue why our culture ever got away from that. I'm sure it has something to do with individualism, consumerism, and materialism. But anyway, we held her. She kept wanting to run out of the building. We held her. We got into the door frames because you're surrounded by metal there, strongest part of the building. We know of at least 2 people that got killed within sight of our condo with that one. And it's because they did what Dearly did. They took off running, and when they exited the building, the giant cement pillars that give back weight to the cranes to support the cranes and hold them in place fell. They got shaken loose. When I get around to the other side of this building, you can see the crane. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it fell on them and it crushed them. And unfortunately, they were children. So the dumbest thing you can do when an earthquake happens is try to run, because you don't get killed. Well, you can't see them from here. You can see them from this one over here if I can get a good angle of it. Most people, almost everybody that gets killed in an earthquake, gets killed by falling debris. There's some giant pillars on the back of this crane over here. Those fell. You see, here's a crane up here. Oh, and another thing, this crane is pointing right at our window. So if this thing were to come unsecured, which was one of our fears, it would get right through our window into our condo. So that was the first one. The second one, like I said, was smaller, 5 point something. But we were out in what they call the provinces, which is like being out in the country, because that's where most of Dearly's family lives. And we were actually, or my family, Dearly's family, our family, we were actually eating in a small restaurant that was only 1 story high, and we were eating in an open area that didn't even have a roof. So we weren't really concerned, didn't last long. Then the 7.7 hit 2 nights ago. It was 10:39 p.m. Dearly and I were laying in bed with the lights on. I was reading a novel, Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I'm about halfway through a great book, like almost all of his. Dearly was scrolling on social media. I think replying to comments on her Facebook page, Homesteading Off the Grid. She runs that page. And Daniel was in the living room with his uncle. Well, the bed starts shaking again. And Mine Boon Tag. You draw an audience around here. This is another reason I don't do this. People will come out of their houses and follow me to see what I'm doing. You'll see them making videos, doing TikTok stuff. Nobody questions it. But I walk around here doing it. Whatever. So same thing, we got in the door frames, and Dearly was better this time, because even though she was scared and terrified, she knew that the safest place to be was in the door frames, because I went over all this stuff with her. After the first big one, and her brother that's staying with us, he's getting ready to graduate from the police academy, and he's been highly trained in disaster preparations and all these things. So, but that was enough. And then we had to evacuate the building once the rumbling stopped, and it lasted about 4 minutes. And you could just literally feel the building swaying. I mean, I was convinced again it was going to fall. So when the swaying stopped, they rang the alarm, like a fire alarm. Everybody had to evacuate the building. And I live streamed that on Facebook. You can go to the Facebook page, Sick Twisted Humor, and you can rewatch the live stream. So we had to wait outside until they gave the all clear, and that took about 2 hours. I guess they have a procedure here. When they clear a building, you got to wait for a full 2 hours, make sure there's no strong aftershocks or secondary earthquakes, which the aftershocks can often cause. So we evacuated the building just before 11. We got back in the building just before 1. And forgive this background noise, they're building some more condos over there. The economy here, since I was here last time, has gotten so much stronger. This seems like a different country. I'll tell you, President Duterte did a great job in cleaning it up, getting corruption out of government, and getting the dirtbag murderers, rapists, and drug fiends off the streets. A lot of folks where I'm from didn't agree with how he did it, But most folks where I'm from have never been here, and they didn't realize that he was the best man for that job. And I come back here now, we're safer in all ways. We can walk down the street at night, don't have to worry about anything. It's cleaner. You can actually see the water in the rivers now. He shut down entire islands that were known as tourist spots because the restaurants and the casinos, or not casinos, but the hotels or resorts, they were dumping their sewage directly into the sea. He shut them down. Says, you fix that, and then I'll let you reopen. So they lost millions and millions of pesos in revenues, but guess what? It's clean now. So there's more fish. Okay, I better stop this because all those intellectual elitists back home with those advanced degrees who read all those textbooks and watch all those legacy news channels don't want to hear this. Now, mind you, they don't even own a passport. They don't want to hear the truth because, you know, their minds are already made up. Never waste your time confusing people with facts when their minds are already made up. That's something I've learned. Recently turned 50. Buddy of mine, Ray, good friend of mine, oldest friend here in the Philippines. Figuratively and literally, he's going to be 80 next year. Man who introduced me to my wife. If not for whom, our son wouldn't exist. Whatever. We're at my birthday party the other night, my 50th birthday party. We had about a dozen people come. Ray and somebody else, our cousin Randy, brought us a cake. And he was asking me what are some of the things I've learned in the first half century of my life. And that's one of them. Don't waste your time trying to confuse people with facts when their minds are already made up. Learned a lot about people because I'm a people person. Another thing I've learned is that people can either drain you or they can energize you. Choose wisely. Choose who you'll spend your time with. We all know those people who are positive, happy-go-lucky. Some people call them naive. Some people consider them fools, but they're not. They can see the blessings in their life and they focus on that and they have gratitude. Those people leave you feeling energized. You can talk to them and once you're finished, you feel better after having talked to them than you did before you talk to them. Stick with those people, okay? Then you got the negative, bitter, curmudgeon-y, pessimists, cynics, who are always complaining about everything, even though from the outside looking in, their lives appear wonderful. But see, they can't see their blessings because they have a sense of entitlement. Where there is no gratitude, when you are not thankful for what you have, it's because you think you're entitled to have it. That just makes me sick to my stomach. And therefore, those people are draining. So once you identify them, get the hell away and stay the hell away. So I've learned you can forgive people without allowing them back into your life. Forgiveness granted, permission denied. Because you see, holding grudges hurts you, not the person you're holding the grudge against. So let it go. Something else I've learned to do. Let go. Let go or be dragged. If you're holding a cannonball sinking on the bottom of the ocean, you better let go. You're holding on to a rope, something you're clinging to in the back of a vehicle, and it's dragging you, you better let go. Let go or be dragged. Now, definitely don't be dumb enough to let them back in. They try to talk to you, they smile, they wave, just act like they're not there, but just don't carry any bitterness, hatred, or grudge, because it's only going to hurt you. So anyway, 74% of you who watch these videos are older than me anyway, so I know most of you already know this stuff. Here's something else, though, I've been focusing on, and I was thinking about starting another channel or a Facebook page called Fit Over 50, because for those of you who have followed me for years, you know I've always been kind of like a physically active guy. Let myself go some in the past year. That's another topic, but I'm getting back into it now and losing some of the weight that I gained back after losing 35 pounds the year before. But there's something magical about the decade of your 50s. If you live well, if you have a healthy lifestyle, if you're active, you stay fit, you have a healthy diet, you don't abuse anything bad for you, substances, alcohol, tobacco, other mood-altering substances. I'll have an audience if I go up there, so I'm going this way. Nothing wrong with moderation if you understand what that means and you can do it. You can be in your 50s and look like you're in your 40s or even your late 30s. Or you can be in your 50s, you can be sedentary, you can not be active, you can not exercise, you can have a crap diet, eat a bunch of processed foods, you can have a negative attitude, maybe abuse substances, you know, daily drinker type thing, daily drinker into excess, and you can look like you're in your 70s. The good news is that for both of these examples I've given is that it's a choice. It's a choice. So here's my mentality with this whole fit over 50 thing. It's about making the right choices, making good choices. But I don't know if I want to go out and make a full-blown channel or page because I'm already doing so much. We've got over 1 million followers and subscribers now on social media across 2 different channels and 2 different pages. So I don't want to take, because that's another thing I've learned. Now that I'm 50, I've decided to relax a little bit. Maybe that's why I slept in until 5 today instead of 4:30. It's okay to just kind of sit back, breathe deep, take it in. I mean, I've worked very hard to get to where I am. It's maybe time to enjoy it a little bit more rather than to continue to push to get further ahead. I'm perfectly okay where I am. Ain't in a bad place. When I can spend my winters in a tropical paradise in Southeast Asia and go back for the pretty part of the year there in the beautiful, beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, that ain't so bad. But so back to the earthquakes. What did we do about it? Well, the day after the last big one, 7.7, which was yesterday, we had planned yet another beach trip. We're going to go to a different island, one Dearly hasn't been to in 16 years, and one that Daniel and I have never been to. And we're just going to spend the day there. It's not super far away. It's about a 40-minute boat ride away. Well, we canceled those plans, and instead we went house hunting. So we decided, because we're here for 4 more months, the safest thing for our family to do would be to get out of these high rises and get into a single level detached house. So we found a few on the internet. We went around looking at them yesterday and we picked one, and we're packing up today and we're leaving tomorrow. That's why I don't mind showing you all my background. Anybody over here who has ulterior motives, who sees this video, by the time they say, well, and plus it's heavily guarded. There's armed guards at every entrance, armed guards walking every floor. So anyway, we're not going to be here. And the house is on a mountain, so we're eliminating a lot of the pollution, which has been affecting me and Daniel particularly. A lot of the smog from the jeepneys. It should not be on the road. Should not be on the road. One of these jeepneys produces more pollution in a year than any 1,000 vehicles you could pick at random on the streets in the U.S. And they're not supposed to be on the road. I'm not judging. Their government's cracked down on them. Sorry, I had to blow a snot rocket. And they get them off the street when they find them. They come out at night mostly when they think they can get away with it. But so it's a safer place. And there's a side door that's in between both bedrooms, and it goes out into a yard. Now, it's not big. I mean, it's big by the standards over here, but I mean, here's a yard. You can see what I'm talking. I'm not talking 6 acre big like we've got back in Virginia. Almost 3 hectares, 2.5 hectares. But there's no obstructions above it. There are no tall buildings around it. It too is in a private, gated, heavily guarded, wealthy subdivision. And we live like that over here for our safety, and not because, you know, we're not trying to be better than or arrogant. Or we live far higher above our, I don't want to say our means because it's so much cheaper over here. We can live like this over here for 1/4 the cost of what we currently live in the U.S. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, how can you afford to spend your winter in a foreign country? Hey, you know how much we spend on groceries over here in a month? We went to the grocery store the other day, and we literally had 2 full-sized grocery carts, shopping carts, stacked to overfill, and it cost the equivalency of $200 US. If we would have bought that at Harris Teeter in Charlottesville, it would cost $700. And that's just one example. And the house we're going to rent is as inexpensive as the apartment we're renting. It's $500. After utilities, it might be $620, $630. If we were to rent something like this or live in one of these things in the U.S., it would easily be $2,500, $3,000. So the only expensive part about a trip like this is the airfare. But if we were to come for a month and only stay for a month, we wouldn't make that back, and we would be out a little bit of money. But since we're staying for 5 months, by the time you average out everything else and then put in the airfare, we're still ahead. We're still living less expensively than if we would have stayed in the Charlottesville, Virginia area. Not so cheap to live there. So anyway, that was the answer to the problem. That's something else I've learned in my first half century. Stay away from the people who are always focused on the problems. Hang out with the people who find the solutions. It's okay. Everybody has problems, but don't be with the ones that are always bitching, griping, and complaining about them, and according to them, there's no way out of it. Find the ones that if maybe you have a dilemma and you talk to them about it, say, oh yeah, I've been there. I've been through that same thing. This is what I did to solve it. Now I don't have that problem. You know what I mean? It goes back to the whole people can either energize you or drain you concept. So the solution to this is we found a house. We're packing our stuff today. We're leaving, and we called the agent of the woman that owns our condo and told her, hey, look, sorry, but you know we signed a 5-month contract. But we're not staying because of these earthquakes. And I assumed, which we're never supposed to do, makes an ass out of you and me, they would just withhold our deposit, which wasn't much, $350 US, because we were breaking the contract. And she said, I fully understand, no problem, and we will fully refund your deposit because I understand you're doing this for your safety. This is a Filipino woman managing a condo for another Filipino woman, and they know I'm an American. They didn't try to cheat me, rob me, steal from me. And they told us, they said that, okay, we called them yesterday. We were like the third person of units they own who are moving out. People are moving out of these high rises in droves. It's not out of panic and it's not out of fear. It's out of concern, and it's out of, I think, you know, going by the law of numbers, we shouldn't have another big earthquake the rest of the time we're here. We've had 2 earthquakes in the last 12 days, that generally only come around every 5 or 6 years. It's likely, going by the law of numbers, we won't have another one like this for another 10 to 12 years. But do I want to risk our family's lives on the law of numbers? No. So we're getting out. So that's the solution. So thanks for being with me. A little bit long-winded, kind of probably rambled, but hey, that's what you guys have come to know and love. Of course, some of y'all vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges have come to hate it. But for some reason, you keep watching. That's another thing I've learned about life in my first half century. The thing about people that hate you is they watch everything you do. Say hello to you haters too. All right. So remember, if you want to see more of me, you can see me every day over at Sick Twisted Humor on Facebook. We have the Homesteading Off the Grid Facebook page. And of course, Dearly has her Life with Dearly YouTube channel. I think she does a little bit more on YouTube now than I do. See if she's still up here on the balcony. She's having her morning coffee. Lazy head. She slept in till 7. So, no, she's gone in. All right. See y'all for more next time.